Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. Between the OTC, New York Stock Exchange, and NASDAQ, there are over 22,000 companies traded publicly. I feel that small businesses are the backbone of America. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest. CEO Singh with BullFrog AI Holdings. BullFrog is a technology-enabled drug discovery company using Causal AI and ML machine learning to identify new drug targets that drive disease. I'll let Vin tell you more about that in just a moment. It's important to understand that I do not collect compensation for the interviews I do here. The purpose of this channel is to find companies that have identified big problems and have found solutions to those problems. There's a thing called impact investing. It's tied to environmental, social, and governance. There are a lot of companies out there attacking very big problems, and I believe that you and I can help them in more ways than one. By helping a small company become a large corporation, if you and I can become ambassadors of a product because the values of that company align with our own, think of all the jobs that will be created as that small company becomes a big company. Think about the community that that company is in. Typically, they thrive along with the company. This channel is to help companies that are relatively unknown become known so that they can build a following and they can have brand ambassadors that share their vision, share their mission, and are willing to do what they can to help have a positive impact on humanity. That's what this channel is all about. Please join me on this journey to have a positive impact on humanity. Together, we can make a difference. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, you speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a brand new company, very exciting company, kind of right in the crosshairs of technology that is definitely on fire right now, which is artificial intelligence. But this is a unique combination, I think. And Singh is here with BullFrog AI, and you're gonna have to tell me where the bullfrog came from, right?
Yeah, sure. I get asked that question a lot. So it was really marketing 101. It sticks in your mind when you hear the name bullfrog, and it brings you back to when you were a kid trying to, pick up a bullfrog. But, when I started the company 7 years ago, the initial intent was to use AI to rescue failed drugs. And as we know, anybody who invests in the biopharma world knows there's a whole ocean of failures out there. And it turns out that a bullfrog in certain Asian cultures is a symbol of rebirth and new beginnings. So we're giving new life to a drug. So it fits together nicely. But the main thing is you'll never forget the name. Almost every other AI company out there has some technical, pieces of technical words, and they're all jumbled together. So that's the main reason behind it.
Okay, so it's BullFrog AI Holdings, right? And you are the founder and CEO, right?
And chairman, yep.
And chairman. And can you give, for those that aren't familiar with you, give them some background on how you got here and what you did?
Yeah, so I have almost 30 years of industry experience, all life sciences and biotech. I'm a 3-time founder or co-founder of investor-backed companies. The first company I co-founded is a company called MaxCyte. They went public on NASDAQ a few years ago, MXCT. Obviously, I wasn't involved with the company at the time of the IPO, but anyway, it's a cell therapy systems and cell therapy company as well. After that, I founded a company called Next Healthcare, which at the time was the world's first adult skin cell and stem cell banking company for regenerative medicine applications. So back in 2008, 2009, regenerative medicine, really got turbocharged, and there's a lot of exciting things happening. And then about 7 years ago, I started BullFrog, and the reason I started the company was I couldn't believe that the failure rate in late stage clinical development, specifically phase 3 clinical trials, was so high. I mean, it's 50% on average. If it's CNS or oncology, it's much higher than that. And it doesn't make sense, or it didn't make sense, because it's like, you have all these resources, the experience, the know-how, access to technology. So I said, you know what? I want to change that. Even if I can change it a little bit, patients will benefit, pharma will benefit, insurance company, the whole healthcare infrastructure will benefit. And at the end of the day, I think what the result will be less expensive treatments, which, as we all know, are spinning out of control right now. So that's my career journey. I'm a biomedical engineer by training, which is why I'm so interested in life sciences and biotech. And so here we are today, off to the races, working on incredibly exciting things. And like you just said at the opening, white hot space, right? AI at the intersection with pharma. There's a lot of problems to solve, and a lot of opportunity for us.
Right. So you've got a couple of situations that make your AI, at least the data portion of it, much more meaningful, right?
Yeah. So when you think about AI companies, there's two pieces.
Hey there, folks. I want to tell you about a new app that I am very excited about. If you want to up your investing game with Wall Street wisdom, stay informed, save time, and gain an edge, then you're going to want to check out this app, StockPick. You can discover pro tips from top investors and expert curated financial news, all in quick video short form clips. I've been using this app and I got to tell you, I love it. I am extremely impressed with the quality of the content. It keeps me informed, and I have to tell you, I've used all kinds of comparable services out there. This one is priced at 79 US. It is a steal of a deal. And right now, on top of that, you can get an additional 25% off. I'm telling you, folks, I think you're going to love this app. Go to the description of this video and find the link. Make sure you use my code to get that 25% off.
One is the AI itself, and that you can break into two categories. One is AI innovators, who are truly, it's all proprietary and they continue to innovate, that's the category we're in. And then you have what we'll call applied AI. They find the tools that are out there, from Amazon and Microsoft, and they try to apply them to problems. So that's the one piece. The other piece is the data. Okay, so you need rich, high quality data if you want to get revolutionary insights that can really move the needle for the industry. And fortunately, in the worlds of biotech and pharma, those data sets are getting richer and more complex. So our technology shines in large, complex data sets, but it can also, they can be smaller as well. Our technology is scalable, which is nice, because a lot of times in our industry, let's say you're looking at a clinical trial, you might have 20, 30, 40, 50 patients. You don't have millions, right? Our technology can scale from whatever, few dozen to millions of patients, but we can also look at millions of variables, because you're looking at genomic data, right? Omics data, which we all hear about. So that's the so that's the ideal combination. And right now we have that. And we have our technology. Like I said, it's proprietary. Original license was with the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab called APL. I'll take 30 seconds just to like educate everybody on what that is. It is not a little lab. It's a subsidiary of Johns Hopkins. They have 6,000 engineers and scientists there working on amazing stuff like missile defense, robotics. It's all, top secret defense related technologies. I think they do about 2 billion in revenue. So they're a pretty, substantial organization. They developed this AI and deployed it in different sectors. We have, and it won Innovation of the Year there. So big, that's a really big deal. So we came right out of the gates with blue chip technology. We have exclusive worldwide rights for drug development applications. We've signed multiple improvement licenses. And then as the company has matured, we've been building out our own data science team, which is A+ at this point. And we're doing our own innovation on top of it. So we're bolting on pieces. So now we have what we call a ensemble AI approach, meaning we got a bunch of tools in our bag that we can bring together to create something very powerful and proprietary. So from Johns Hopkins APL, we got what's called graph analytics. We have generative AI capabilities, which is what you hear about in the news, with OpenAI and all that. And then we have causal AI capabilities that we've done some amazing innovation, in that direction. And with causal AI, this enables you to understand, identify the true driver of disease. So, at the most fundamental level with AI, you're looking for relationships that exist within data so that you can make predictions.
Right.
With causal, you can determine the direction and magnitude of those relationships. So we can look at a bunch of genomic data and say, hey, this gene is driving everything else, in this, network of data. So this gene is the driver of the disease. Let's go after that gene. That's what you can do with causal. Excuse me a second. So that's the AI side. The data side, we have this partnership with the Libra Institute for Brain Development. Libra has the largest collection of post-mortem neuropsychiatric brains in the world. They have thousands of these brains. And remember, this is for neuropsych primarily, also some neurodegenerative. These are patients with bipolar, schizophrenia, and manic major depressive disorder. So we've had exclusive access to all of their data, okay? And they have, genomic data from all 5 regions of the brain, in addition to other data. And we've made amazing discoveries. And, this is even coming from the CEO of Libra, who's, they've been around for, more than 12 years, I think. And we've been making discoveries that they've never seen before. So, and we're discovering causal drivers of disease for all 3 disorders. Super exciting. But why is that important? Well, in the world of neuropsychiatric, drug discovery and development, it's been plagued with a few major challenges. Number one, animal brains are not a good model for human brains, obviously, right? The brain is a very, very complex organ, and it's, it's like outer space. I mean, we know something about it, but there's a lot we don't know. And unlike every other part of the body, you can't punch biopsy somebody's brain tissue and study that, they won't survive. So having access to these, all these brains is a game changer. And then you combine that with this, a powerful AI platform, you expect good things, and good things have happened. So now where we are is we've made these discoveries over the past, month or so. We've been doing outreach to pharma, and I've already publicly disclosed this. We're having conversations with multiple pharmas. We're under NDA. They're very interested in what we've done. And that interest is spreading even beyond neuropsych to, neurodegenerative, because we do have access to some of that data as well. So what we're excited about is there's an opportunity to do multiple deals here just with this one project. We think we can do one for schizophrenia, one for depression, one for bipolar, and maybe a neurodegenerative indications as well. But the other thing is, even with those three disorders, we're seeing molecular subtypes of the disease. So we're seeing depression, maybe there's A, B, C, and D, which makes sense, right? Maybe that's why these antidepressants aren't working so well, though. The net's too wide. This is a precision medicine approach to these diseases. That's why we think this could be a game changer, right? This is really big deal. And so we're having conversations with pharma. There's obviously interest. And if we get a deal done, saying if, obviously we're optimistic, but if we get a deal done, there's basically two flavors of deals. The one is kind of gets you in the door. It's a proof of concept deal. Okay. And, those could be whatever, a few $1 million, generally short term, like 6 to 12 months. And then they can lead to a much bigger, we'll call them biobucks deals. Biobucks deals for the type of work we're doing are, you'd be looking at 5 drug targets, 50 to 100 million, give or take upfront. If all milestones are hit on all targets, about, over $1 billion in milestones downstream, including royalties. So pretty substantial opportunity, for us as a company. And to be honest, transformational. We only burn about 5 to 6 million a year. So, yeah, I mean, one deal changes everything.
Right. So 7 years, you formed the partnerships that you have, you got the technology that you have, and then you started, researching, okay, what can we do? What can we provide? Right. And then once you got some really monumental type data, then
Yeah,
like, okay, now it's time to go talk to the pharmacists. Right.
now it's time to get a deal done, right? Because we're not a biotech company. We're not interested in developing drugs and taking them all the way. We want to use our AI to unlock massive value, de-risk. And Tim, I just want to point out something. Most drugs fail because they pick the wrong target, right? And just to be clear, what is a target? When you take any kind of medication, those chemicals, those molecules, target something in your body, a protein, a gene, an enzyme, whatever it is. The wrong target's picked from the beginning, which downstream ends up, resulting in lots of failures.
Right.
I mean, out of the, drugs that even enter the clinic, only 10% are going to make it to the finish line. So obviously something's wrong there. So with our technology and using Causal AI, we increase the likelihood of success, we think, pretty substantially. So that's really important. If you want to fix the failures, you got to go to the root cause of the problem.
Right.
That's the root cause.
Right. I mean, it is kind of insane that it takes, I mean, I don't know what the estimates used to be, take about 7 to 10 years and about $7 billion to get through phase 3 to an NDA.
Yeah, I think it's longer than that. It's more like 10 to 15 years, depending on the modality and the indication.
Right.
Like certain oncology indications, you could be in like a 5-year plus, maybe longer clinical trial, right? But yeah, it's a long, expensive, and high risk process. So we want to fix that. And that's what we're doing.
Right. So Ben, how many shares outstanding are there fully diluted?
I think we have about 7.8 million shares outstanding.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm a big shareholder. And you know, I have over 2 million of those shares. We do have some warrants out there, public and private. They're all clean warrants, by the way. There's no price resets and, you know, anti-dilution and all that stuff in there. And we have about a 5 million share float.
Okay. So 5 million share float, and then you've got how many warrants do you know off the top of your head, roughly?
So at the IPO, we had about 1.3 million private and 1.3 million public.
Okay.
The prices are $7.80 and $8.12.
Okay.
At the second offering, which was in end of January, early February this year, we had approximately another 1.5 million private warrants at about $4.15. Again, all clean.
Which if those hit, then you bring in a little money,
Yeah.
right?
It's right. And you know, when will those hit? Once we get a deal done. And let's talk about what could happen if, you know, what the effect I think could be on the stock. Again, just looking at what's going on in the industry and what the possibilities are here. I mean, obviously there's no guarantees of anything, but we got a 5 million share float. Some companies in our space traded 150 times revenue. Those are the smaller ones, and some bigger ones are still trading at like 40 times revenue. I think if we get a deal done, we should be recognized and rewarded for three things. Number one, validation of our business model. Okay.
Yeah.
We said we're revenue generating AI, you know, focused on, you know, biopharma. We've done it. Validation from, you know, hopefully a big pharma, right? Reputational validation, because obviously they've done their diligence. And then the third is the revenue multiple, right? The reward for that. And the other thing, the nice thing is once you get that first deal done, just like any other industry, the first one's always the hardest. The rest of the industry says, hey, those guys did their diligence, they did their homework, you know, they did the deal. The second, third, and fourth deals should come a lot faster. And the dollar figures should go up because we've been de-risked in their eyes.
Right.
So that's, you know, anyway, and these are things, Tim, we're working on, like, you know, right now. We want to, you know, our goal is to at least get a proof of concept deal done, you know, in this quarter. And that's possible. You know, we have to keep advancing the discussions we're having, but our transaction attorneys have said, look, if you're having those discussions, you know, like you were in September, early October, then yeah, it can happen. Because I think another thing that happens in pharma is, you know, they have leftover budget end of the year, and they have to deploy those dollars, or it can affect their, you know, budget for next year. So I think that's the timing is good, you know, for us. So let's see what happens. You know, it's just a lot of things are converging, and I'm sure some of it will, you know, spill over into next year.
Right. Right. Um, so how are you on cash right now? I mean, the big concern is, especially in this environment, is that you might have to raise capital, and if you got to raise capital, this is like one of the worst markets to raise capital in, right?
Yeah. You know, well, the good thing is we don't burn a lot of cash. Okay, so if we have to raise cash, it's not going to be a lot.
Right.
We have enough cash till Q2 of next year, but like I said, we're also trying to, you know, get a deal done. So, you know, we're not, you know, in a panic or anything, but you know, we have to look at what's going on, and let's see how things progress. But I think the key, and I think this is probably the most important thing for the investors out there listening, is you're looking at risk. We don't burn hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so even if we raise a few $1 million or whatever, you know, that gives us 6 more months. we just want to get that, those first couple deals done, and then we know that everything will change.
Right. You're nowhere near an overbloated share count. I mean, you're not even remotely close.
We're not remotely close. We have a very clean balance sheet. We have no debt. I think we have, all the things that an investor likes to see, in a micro cap company. And we got big hit potential. I mean, I'm not exaggerating there. It's just, that's the truth. And, we're just talking about what is probably the most exciting aspect of what the company's doing, but there are other things that we're working on as well that also have big hit potential. And all of these things, like, our strategy is always partner as early and often. Okay. Even with our other programs, the economics for us are great because we haven't made massive investments anywhere, like a typical biotech. So, any deal we get done is going to be probably
So you had a little announcement last week. Was it a liver? I'm trying to remember what the announcement was.
Yeah. So we have a program internally. We call it BF114. This is a siRNA, or small interference RNA drug, and that siRNA targets a gene, right, that generates a protein. It's called beta-2 spectrin. That protein leads to liver disease, okay, fibrotic liver disease. It's also associated with obesity. So for this particular project, we have a target, which is the beta-2 spectrin, the gene and protein. We have a drug. We've brought a scientific advisory board member into the company, and this is Dr. Lopa Mishra, originally at George Washington University. Now she's at Northwell, and world-renowned scientist. She's published on this. We have animal data, so very interesting. Looks very, very encouraging. So that's what the announcement was about. She just published a paper just further supporting our candidate for these fibrotic liver diseases, which, by the way, is a massive market globally. I believe it's several hundred million people around the world. And so that's what the excitement was there. And what we're going to do with that project, because like they said, there's a lot of pieces that are already in place. We're going to get some more mechanistic understanding around the disease by analyzing some additional data. And in the meantime, what we'd like to do is, we're going to talk to Pharma maybe about an early collaboration. That's the goal here, because we got the target, we got the drug, you got some small animal data, you got publication, you got a lot there. And then you got our AI to help de-risk all of this even more. So that's the focus. And then this week, yesterday actually, we announced another SAB member, John Baldino. Fantastic guy. He was a top executive at GSK. He was there for like 30 years. And he was involved with like the first maybe AI pharma deals going back like 10 years ago. And so he has seen and done a lot. And he's seen this industry, change and mature. So he's going to be a tremendous asset to the company. He's going to, provide guidance, provide connections. When you're in big pharma that long, you end up knowing a lot of people, and especially at the, senior vice president level.
Right.
So 2 really good additions to the advisory board, and, can't wait for them to roll up their sleeves and get going.
Well, this is all exciting stuff. I mean, I want to let everybody know Vin's under the weather right now. So
yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, man. It's it shows your dedication to be here, right? I mean, you're not feeling well.
I didn't want to let you down, Tim. I did not want to let you down, but It's that time of the year, and I was at an event this weekend where there was like 1,000 people there. So, you know, people are sneezing and coughing. I couldn't avoid it, you know. So,
No, I get it, man. I appreciate you being here. I think this is a very interesting story. I want to show everybody the chart real quick because it is actually, so if you look at the chart, yeah, you can see the whole thing on my screen. It's in a downward trend, but what's really interesting about where it's at right now is if you look where my pointer is, it put in this little low right here, and up here in this area, you've got some pretty good support right around 225 or so, $2. And what you've got a higher low. So it went up, it had this nice spike. And do you remember what that spike was for? It was back in it was in July, it looks like.
yeah, it may have been an update on the Libra project.
Okay. So you had a nice little spike there, and then it pulled back down, but it didn't go down and retest that low. It just came down and tested that area of where there was some price support. Then you had another little spike right here, and those spikes are actually bouncing right up into this long-term trend line, which is from the upper left to the lower right.
Mm.
At some point, you're going to break through that long-term trend line, and that is the dominant trend. So you take that out, and I would imagine that comes with some kind of news of a deal, right? So if you're just looking at what Ben is saying and looking at how the chart is acting, it is now kind of like in this consolidation mode between $2 and 325. That you seem to bump up against resistance right at 325. You take 325 out, that becomes your floor, right? And it's the beginning of a new long-term trend, potentially, from the lower left to the upper right, right? So everything is kind of coming together, right? I mean, you kind of have a reverse head and shoulders pattern there too, but I'm not going to go into that. But the bottom line is, it's in a holding pattern, is what it seems like to me. And I think you have a pretty clearly defined area of where you can dip your toe. I'm not telling anybody to go out and buy the stock. That's not what I do. I'm saying this is a very interesting company attacking a pretty big, unique problem, right? Which is a lot of failed drugs that spend a lot of money. And if you can reduce that time, or like you said, make them target the real target, right?
Right, right.
I think that's huge. I think that could be very meaningful to the pharma industry, but more importantly, to quality of life for people that are suffering, right?
I mean, you nailed it. I mean, we're all aging. We're all going to have to take medication. So through this, you know, what we're doing ultimately, yeah, it can impact everybody down the road.
Right. And that's what this show is all about, right? Finding those companies that can have a dramatic impact on humanity, not just on your pocketbook, right? So, I mean, it'd be nice if you can find both, right? Have a dramatic impact on humanity and have a nice impact on your pocketbook at the same time.
And fortunately, we offer that, right? that possibility at least, right?
Exactly. And that's why we're here, dude. So look, what do you think could be the next catalyst? What do you think? I guess the obvious one is you have a deal, right? Proof of concept deal or whatever kind of deal it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's, you know, that's the near-term catalyst. And, you know, we think it's going to make a big difference on, you know, what you're showing here on the screen, for sure. Just looking at others in the industry and how they're being, you know, valued based on their revenue and any deals that they announce. So, like I said, want to try to get at least one of those done this quarter. And you know, some of it might bleed into next quarter, but we're having the conversations and we're doing the best we can to bring them to the finish line.
Right. So the one thing I would suggest is you go to bullfrogai.com and you sign up for their email alerts. That way you can at least follow what's happening with, so when they do announce that deal or that partnership, you'll know exactly what it is about because it'll get delivered right to your email. All right. And then when you have one of those announcements, we'll have you back and we'll do a follow-up.
Love to do it. Look forward to it.
All right, perfect, man. Thank you so much for coming in. Hold on one second. I'm going to shut this off.
All right. Thanks.
You feel as though I missed anything?
No, I mean, we didn't. Did you want to talk about the 10b5-1? You didn't bring that up.
Oh, yeah. See, so you're good, man. So I asked Vid before we hopped on, I said, look, you know, I saw that you had a little sale and it doesn't concern me, right? One of the things I do tell everybody is that, you know, insider ownership is a big deal. Stepping up to the plate in the open market is a big deal. I think that's a good thing that senior management can do to show that they're putting their money where their mouth is, right? So whenever there's the flip, there's the sale, you know, people can also use that to panic. But I just want to be clear. I think it was 5,000 shares. It was some small amount or that you sold.
It was 50,000, but
Oh, it's 50,000.
Let me clarify and explain.
Yeah.
So, you know, I started the company 7 years ago. I sacrificed literally everything for this company to get it to where it is today. So I have something called a 10b5-1 plan. Okay. And what it does is it's on autopilot. Every quarter, it'll, you know, sell some small number of shares. Keep in mind, I'm a big shareholder. Okay. I have almost 2.7 million shares. Okay. So selling 50,000 shares is not a big deal. But look, you know, I'm just like everybody else. I got bills to pay. I got kids in college. So I just want everybody to know this is not, I'm not signaling that there's a concern or anything like that. It happens automatically and I can't touch it.
And the reason for this is where, especially with your type of business too, because you are in so many discussions with so many different relevant parties that if you are deep in the weeds with something, that becomes a blackout period. You cannot sell your stock, right? Anything that could be material that you are aware of, that you're in the midst of, that blocks you from being able to sell. With you having a preset plan, it just automatically happens. It
automatically happens. So no need to panic or ask, you know, wonder what is Vin doing? What's he trying to tell us? I'm not trying to tell you anything. Okay. I don't even pay attention to it. It's on autopilot. Okay.
Right. Got it. I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'm glad we clarified that because you've got almost 3 million shares of stock. I would say you've got skin in the game.
Yes. A lot of skin in the game. For sure.
All right, dude. Thanks, man. I'm glad you brought that up. Hold on a second. I'm gonna turn this off. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Vin Singh from BullFrog AI Holdings, ticker symbol BFRG. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.